Mike Purdy is a presidential historian and the author of 101 Presidential Insults, What They Really Thought About Each Other and What It Means to Us. He joins us today from Houston, Texas. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Certainly, thanks for having me.
So, Mike, I'm really interested in getting your thoughts on what we saw today and what were the major takeaways you saw.
Well, I think it was a very historic day, very unprecedented, certainly. Um, this is only the fourth time in our nation's history that the House has begun impeachment proceedings against a president, and how this compares with the other presidents that have been impeached is much more serious, because we're talking about if the facts are borne out that a president was using foreign policy to aid him in his reelection campaign. I think the big takeaway is that it's one about facts. And, I think you have the Democrats trying to look at facts. I think Republicans are trying to look at process, and they're trying to look at conspiracy theories. But ultimately, the American people are going to have to make a decision about what they believe about this.
Right, and the Democrats were saying from the outset that they want this to be, Nancy Pelosi saying that she wants this to be a nonpartisan look at what happened, at the facts. Were you surprised that the Republicans took what it seemed to be quite a partisan peg here on the first day of the public hearings, going on the attack on the Democrats, calling this a real scorched earth campaign to take Trump out of office?
Yeah, not really surprised by the Republicans' response. I mean, that's what it's been all along. I mean, one of the curious things about this impeachment proceeding, of course, is the fact that Republicans appear to be more interested in defending the president and loyal to the party than looking at what the Constitution says, and that is that that Congress is a separate branch of government, and they have constitutional duties to run checks and balances on the presidency. And so I think that's what's most surprising to me, is that they are abdicating some of their constitutional responsibilities.
So do you think that the American public is going to have a difficult time during these hearings, parsing the two, that one side is saying that this is about Trump trying to root out corruption, that he wasn't acting in his own interest, that this is all a political play by the Democrats, and the Democrats saying, no, this is Congress trying to get at the root of what happened here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because the United States is incredibly polarized right now, and we've got a certain segment of the population that, regardless of what facts may or may not come out, they are going to continue to be supportive of President Trump. There's a group of folks in the country who are more the middle ground, and that's what's going to make all of the difference on this, whether or not, as a whole, the country believes that the president should be impeached and removed from office. So you've got Democrats who are very much in favor of that because of some of the facts that have come out. You've got some Republicans who will probably never change their position, and then the middle ground.
Right, and are there lessons, because you've studied presidents past and present, are there lessons that Congress can learn from the past that can be applied today during these hearings?
Well, I think the big lesson that we would hope for is that it would be more of a nonpartisan effort, although I think when we look at past impeachments, they have been vicious, they have been partisan. And so, impeachment is ultimately a political process. And what we hope, though, is that Congress will look at it less as a political process and more as a constitutional process. But that may be asking too much.
And one final question here. Gerald Ford called the Watergate scandal that led to Nixon's resignation back in 1974 a national nightmare. What do you think the lasting effects of this inquiry will be?
Oh, I think the lasting impacts of this impeachment inquiry, as well as Trump's presidency, I think there's large portions of the country who are going to sigh a collective sigh of relief when it is over, when President Trump is out of office, whether that is in 1 year or in 5 years.
Okay, we do have to leave it there. Presidential historian Mike Purdy, thank you so much.
Thank you.